I think did you stop sharing the screen also?
Yeah, I stopped sharing.
Okay, cool. Well, let's get started then. Welcome to our panel today. Um, Thank you guys for joining from all over the world. I know we have been preparing this event for like more than a month, and I'm super excited that the day has finally come. And here we have Sai, Karun, Don, and me, myself, and moderator. And yeah, where are you guys joining from?
So yeah, I'm joining from New York. Decent heat wave, so glad to be inside. But yeah, excited to get started the session.
Yes, I'm joining from Columbia, South Carolina, and then I can't wait for the event.
I'm also joining from Colombia, but in South America, Colombia. I'm in Bogota right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That is so cool. And I'm here from Sunnyvale, San Francisco Bay Area. And yeah, how about you guys? Why don't you say hi in the chat and say where you guys joining from? This is really exciting for all of us, for all of the panel speakers today. Let us know. I know there's so many people that are joining from like India, and like there's like it's 4:30 a.m. and some people texting me, they're like, I'm gonna stay up for this panel, and I'm like, this is a lot of pressure, guys. So I hope we're not gonna disappoint you, and you're gonna receive massive value just by attending and engaging. And I wanted to say that the chat is gonna be really active. Make sure to ask your questions, because in the middle of the panel, we will be asking you questions too to get to know you better. It looks like folks are joining from US, Kenya,
US,
wow,
Pakistan.
Pakistan,
I
Arizona.
feel like feels like the World Cup. People wake up at 4:30 to watch it. It's pretty much the same thing.
Feels so good. Yeah.
I know, this is so cool, you guys.
I really appreciate y'all.
I
All
didn't,
the
Okay.
I
the
didn't know.
world.
I didn't know data science was such a popular topic. Like, look at this. This is the entire world. Um, this is what I like about the field itself. You can be wherever you are and do this and participate in this amazing field that has a very high ceiling. And today, we're going to talk all about the interview process preparation for different roles in the data science field. So, why don't we get started? I think we have a few more minutes. Let's see if more folks are going to join. But yeah, that's awesome.
From India, you woke up at 4:30, Sanjay.
Look at this, San Francisco too. They have some people from here. San Jose. Awesome. All right, let's get to our presentation on our next slider. So before we get started, I just want to briefly introduce you guys to our community called Break Into Data. And we've been around for around a year, and all of our community members are just like you, trying to break into this field through applied learning. That's why our entire tagline is all about building, sharing what you learned, and showing it on LinkedIn. And if you can see on the slide here, we have these messages that people share whenever they get a job. We always like, yay, let's go. And we support. That's because we're a real community, real people out there that support each other. And second of all, we have a great accountability system, because you're going to learn later in this panel, you will need a lot of coding challenges, and people need to be consistent to do that. And that's why we created this accountability system where you can log in and connect your leak code API, and and we will track you and put you on the leaderboard. And we also have coding challenges that we host. Last one was in May. It was about 30-day machine learning challenge. It was pretty cool, and people who won got these type of certificates that they could share on LinkedIn. So we're a really active community, and we host these type of panels and weekly speaker sessions consistently. So make sure you save our links later on. We'll share more details about our upcoming sessions and workshops towards the end of this panel. So stay tuned, and let's introduce our amazing panel speakers today. Whoever wants to start, I will let our speakers to introduce themselves because they have an extensive background, and I think they will do it best. Whoever wants to start.
Sure. Hey everyone, my name is Karan. I'm a senior data scientist at Walmart e-commerce, specialized primarily in NLP and recommender systems. Been working in space for the last 6 years. I also offer one-on-one mentoring on TopMate. Primarily got started because a lot of people essentially helped me get into the field, and this is sort of my way of paying it forward. And yeah, excited to meet you all and share this roadmap that we have built up.
Yes. I can go next. Hey all, I'm Sai Kumar and then I work as a lead data analyst at Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina. Primarily, I work on premiums and claims, and then I did my master's in data science at UConn. And I also create content on LinkedIn, and mentorship has played a very important role during my job search or my learning process. And then it's my way to pay forward to the community and then data folks.
Cool. I can go next. Hey everyone, I'm Dawn. I'm a data scientist. I worked in tech for about 7 years now. I've previously been in like big tech companies. So I've worked at Amazon and I worked at Meta. And then after I worked at big tech, I decided to go smaller. So I went to Patreon and now I'm at a small education tech startup. I love working in a startup. It's super fun, get to see a lot of things and wear a lot of different hats. For me also, it took me many years and many failed interviews to become a data scientist. And that's why I started doing interview coaching on the side. I like to help other people not make the mistakes I did. So that's why I have my site coaching business. And I will let Mary introduce herself too.
Awesome. Yes, I am Mary, and I'm the founder at Break Into Data. And my whole spiel is about learning by doing projects and interacting with people like these amazing speakers that we have today. And I know that transitioning to the field such as data science is very hard to do on your own. And that is why I created the community, because I realized you cannot do this by yourself, because you need mentors, you need guides, you need other insightful individuals that you can learn from. And that is why we have this like variety of speakers today that you can ask questions and engage, and hopefully follow them on LinkedIn for sure. Make sure to follow them if you don't already. And thank you for joining in today. And let's get started with our panel. Okay. So just like what we mentioned earlier, and if you've seen our LinkedIn post that we've been doing for like almost a week, I think we were all excited to share with different roles in data, including data analysts and applied scientists and product data scientists. And each of our speakers have extensive experience in every field. So we will cover what is included in every interview round for corresponding role. So why don't you guys share with us in the chat what roles are you targeting, and what are you preparing for? Because we'd like to know more, because I know you sent the questions on our registration form, but feel free to share more information about yourself here so we can see. Let's see, guys. I just want to see what roles you are targeting before we continue. Okay, data analyst. We see data analyst. We see business intelligence analyst. Lots of data analysts today. It looks like Sai, you're gonna do a majority of lifting.
Yes, I'm excited.
Awesome. Data scientists. We have data scientists too. Computer vision, amazing. Health data analyst. Okay, perfect. This is exactly what we wanted to see.
We wanted diverse people. Yes.
DSML engineer, amazing. Statistics, perfect. Oh wow, great.
Yeah, really interesting to see the domain as well, specification. Yeah, that's
Healthcare
thinking
and-
forward. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, by the way, include your domains too, because it's a very that's how like it's big part of your strategy too. So machine learning engineers, awesome. So we have just the right people here. All right.
Futurist. Wow.
Analytics engineer. This is like a new role that is becoming more popular these days too.
I
But
love my analytics engineer partners. Like data science works super closely with analytics engineer, and they are the best.
yeah,
Great role to get into.
I heard it's a pretty good role, like a good mix of analytics and the business.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get ahead and uh, start the preparation for the interviews then, if you guys are already set with your roles. So, no matter what role you're targeting in data, at the end of the day, you will need to harness analytical mindset and you need to gain those foundational skills to pass every single interview round, beginning from coding challenges and ending with behavioral interviews and even take home assignments. So, as we mentioned earlier, we are going to send you tonight a 30-page PDF that includes all the guidelines and resources for each round. So during our panel today, we'll go over every role as well. So why don't we go ahead and get started with our first role?
So let's get started. Thank you everyone for joining. So the first role that we'll be discussing today is data analyst or business analyst or business intelligence analyst. And typically, a day in your data analyst life looks like, and these are the things that you will be working on. You'll be working on most of your time. You'll be spending on data cleaning and preparation, and then gathering data from different sources, APIs or clouds. And then this includes like dealing with missing values, outliers, or standardizing or transforming your data. And then you will move on to EDA. EDA can be done before or after data cleaning, or you can, I think you should do it twice just to make sure the data quality is good. And then you can be uh, doing like summary statistics, like finding mean, mode, and median of different fields just to understand and get better understanding of the data. And then maybe do hypothesis testing, or like do correlation analysis and all these things just to see what kind of fields you can use or what kind of changes you have to make to data. And then proceed further to data visualization and reporting. This is where the end part comes in. So you can use a tool like Tableau, Power BI, Excel, or Python, depending on your company role and the amount of data you have. And then you'll be building dashboards, reports using the business requirements that you have. And then at the end, you'll be presenting this to stakeholders. There can be technical stakeholders, and then there can be non-technical. So make sure to customize your dashboards or reports to the which aligns with stakeholder needs. So it's not just about making an awesome dashboard or awesome reporting. It's all about extracting amazing insights, or like where you're making money, where you're losing money, and that can help business grow or at least reduce loss. That's where your storytelling skills come play an important role. So it's not just about your technical skills, but also your communication skills, like problem solving, analytical skills, critical thinking. All these come into play. So it's a combination of technical and your communication skills that sets you apart, be it in interview or during your work. So in order to excel at your work, you got to communicate your insights or your thought process to your manager, or be it a CEO, or sometimes you might be presenting it to your president of the company. So it's all about how you communicate technical things to your non-technical stakeholders. And coming to interviews, the high level would be a SQL round for sure, and then depending on the company and role, again you would have a Python role, Python coding round, or a statistics round. And then same thing again with take home assessments. A few companies have that, and then few companies don't. And obviously behavioral cultural fit for sure. And this is a high level of understanding of interviews, and then we'll deep dive into this later.
Awesome. Coming to the next one, the applied scientist, also called the applied data scientist or data scientist. In companies like Google, it's SD, machine learning, and in some niche companies, it can even be a research scientist. So as I mentioned, what's asked in interviews typically reflect what you do day to day on your projects. So if you understand what you do on your projects, you'll be able to understand what's going to be asked in interviews. So what does a project entail? At a high level, you'll be working on a business problem which requires a machine learning model to be developed. So you typically talk to business to understand the requirements, do EDA on the data to assess the feasibility of the project, like whether an ML solution can actually be built and whether it would actually help Once you deem it's feasible, then you sort of go about designing the system, researching what kind of models have been used on such kind of problems in the past and what you want to experiment with. Then you go into feature engineering to figure out what features could actually help those models. You experiment with your models, and then you pick one that's best or gonna perform best in production, productionize that, create that pipeline, and then finally do the A/B testing to show that you're actually adding business value. So the interviews pretty much reflect the same. You will see coding or data structures and algorithms, because quality of code does matter as an applied data scientist since you're pushing to production. SQL, statistics and experimentation, primarily where you use in your feature engineering portion and to make sure your data meets certain quality. Then ML and DL theory, primarily because that is probably the most involved technical portion of the project, and system design, just to make sure you are able to build production pipelines and sometimes take home assignments, because some companies want to assess you comprehensively, essentially give you a small version of the project and see how you perform, how you communicate those results. You definitely won't see all of them, maybe like 2 or 4, depends upon the round and team. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to start dropping them in the chat as well.
All right, I'm up with product data science. Product data science has many names, as with with both of the other roles we talked about. Some are the names it goes by: data scientist analytics, product analytics, advanced analytics. Usually you just have to read the job description to figure out if it's a product DS type of role. For product data science, the crux of the job is how we use data to drive business strategy, right? So typically a product data scientist sits on a product team and you work with a bunch of cross-functional partners. Typically you have a product manager, some software engineers, and maybe a designer or a researcher. And as a team, you collaborate together to try and figure out how to drive the business forward. And of course, as a data scientist, you're providing the data lens to business strategy. So some of the projects that we do, you can see them on the left side here. As all data roles, it starts with data cleaning and preparation. And then we'll do a lot of like exploratory data analysis, A/B testing, data visualization and reporting. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is think about how we can move product strategy forward. So typically that means uncovering blind spots for the business, or identifying new opportunities, or helping the team decide where they should divest from, right? All of it is really, your impact is really around helping the business make better decisions. On the right side, you see the interviews that you typically would go through. So there'll be the coding and the SQL rounds. Here I put coding separate from SQL, but sometimes they come together. Then there'll be a statistics and experiment round, product sense rounds, which is my favorite and also the hardest ones. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And with all interviews, you have your behavioral and culture fit interviews. And so now we're going to go into each of these interview types. And as Karun mentioned, please just drop your questions in the chat. Mary's looking over them and she's going to shout them out when it's appropriate. But any questions you have, please throw it in there. If you see someone asking a question that you want to ask to, just throw it back in there so Mary can see it a couple of times and she knows more people.
And also, Dawn, I think it would be a good idea to ask them maybe, what is the round of interviews that you guys are least confident in? Like before Dawn will get into the cracks of the data science interview rounds, what do you feel least confident? Is it SQL? Is it Python? Just let's explore more. But meanwhile, we can go ahead and learn from Dawn.
We're not going to start with me. Who's kicking it off? I think it's Karun who's going to kick off us off on coding.
I'll start off with coding.
Throw what interview. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Karun. Throw what interview types you're most worried about in the chat. And Karun will get started.
Sounds good. Maybe we can go to the next slide. And also, I see a lot of questions coming in with regards to how to prepare for certain types of rounds. This is what's going to be covered in the slide. All the resources are going to be linked in the PDF that you guys get. So those questions definitely will be answered. So yeah, maybe moving to the next slide. So coding. So this is probably one of the most dreaded rounds for most folks in data, for me too, because it took me like a college semester to get comfortable with dynamic programming, and still a bit worried about it, but been through it, was able to build a roadmap. So the next time I can build it faster, and that's the same roadmap that we'll be sharing with you all, so that it won't take you all that much time. So to ace rounds, we essentially need to first understand what these rounds are testing for. Now, coding rounds can be of different types, but basically the three most common ones are what we are going to cover here. The first one is your traditional data structures and algorithms rounds, which try to test your problem solving. So an example is the two-sum problem, a very commonly asked problem, where the interviewer essentially is trying to understand how you think, how you problem solve, and how you're able to optimize code essentially. The next one is your data handling coding round, where essentially you'll be given a data set, which is kind of a messy data set, which is what you will see in real life. And they'll see how you fix that data set or clean that data set and extract value from that data set. You won't need to build any models. It's more about handling missing values, outliers, abnormal values, doing some visualization. Again, these are a bit more rarer, but it is asked. And how to prepare for these rounds, we have covered it in our roadmap as well. And the last type of coding round is the ML coding round, very niche, but still asked in few companies, for example, like LinkedIn. So the question is broad, like, can you code XYZ model from scratch? Can you code like KNN model from scratch or K-means model from scratch? And again, this question, they're not trying to actually see if you can solve it. They're just trying to assess how well you understand the model, like in K-means, why K is important, how to optimize it, a few things like that. So now these rounds may seem intimidating, but the roadmap we have provided will help you get started and reach a decent level of mastery in them. And more importantly, the roadmap has a limited or a completable amount of resources, so you won't be stuck in tutorial hell. For example, like in lead code, we're giving you lead code 75, a list of 75 questions. But again, if you're short on time, you don't have to solve all 75. There's a lead code, there's a channel on YouTube which gives you all the solutions, so you can watch them. Or if you're really short on time, focus on arrays, strings, and dynamic programming based on conversations with like over 1,000+ people on TopMate. Those are the most common questions that are asked in data science. So similarly, we have cut down material essentially to give you completable material. And again, if you have questions about lead code or any of the coding rounds, feel free to drop them. I'll hand it off to Sai for the next round.
Here comes the most important round for every data role, be it data analyst, data scientist, product, applied, wherever you go, be it Gen AI, anything. SQL is the most important skill that every interview is testing you. And then what are they testing for? Your ability to write queries or optimized queries and your database concepts, how well you understand your entities or tables, and how well you can use your problem solving skills to solve a business problem. And then it's always good to have basic knowledge for sure, like understanding filters and everything, and then move on to like intermediate ones like joins, aggregations, and feel free to learn advanced concepts like CTs, Windows functions, or like stored procedures, views, and everything. The more you know, the better it is. So it will help you stand out from the crowd. And you can stop at intermediate, but then if you want to stand out from the crowd, let's say you're at last round with two other people, and then if you are advanced than them, obviously you're the one that they're going to choose. So the more you know, the better it is. And it's not just about writing a good query or optimized query, and also it's also about how you can use that output to solve a business problem. So explain your thought process when you're querying. That's one of the mistakes I made during my initial interviews. I was just typing the query, and then I got the output, and then I was happy, but I wasn't getting selected. That's how my mentors told me that you need to explain your thought process, and then how you can use that output to help business grow. So it's all about your thought process and helping the business grow. And few sample questions that you can expect are like for smaller tech or like medium companies is like second salary, or based on rank functions, or like pivoting a table and creating a query to identify and remove duplicate records, like data cleaning. And for a specific company like big tech, maybe for Google, if you're interviewing for Google Ads, you can expect questions on ads specifically. Or if you were interviewing for Walmart, you can expect a question on your e-commerce data specifically, and then how you would use that to improve business. Or same with Amazon. And how you can prepare, as Karun mentioned, the roadmap is full of resources, like few resources which are amazing. Like we have drilled down to specific ones, so that we don't want to bombard you with a hell lot of resources. So like lead code 50 for SQL basic, intermediate, and then same with advanced 50. Same with interview query. There are a lot of case studies that help you build your problem solving and critical thinking abilities better. And then keep practicing every day for an hour for 2 to 3 questions. Don't practice 15 questions a day and then rest for a week. So be consistent. You don't have to do 10 questions a day, but be consistent in what you do.
Great. Yeah, before we go on to the next slide, I feel like we'll have amazing questions from the audience. And why don't we go ahead and answer a few of them? Let's see. Why don't we answer Riga's question? What is the most important? Coding, SQL, statistics, or ML? Or is there like such a thing as the most important? Whoever wants to answer from you guys.
I don't think there's a most important one. It again depends a bit on the job description. So for example, companies like Google, if you don't know lead code, you ain't gonna get past the first round. So you need to focus on coding. You need to get that up to mark. Google stands out from every other company in the sense that if you're anywhere near a role where you require coding, you need to know lead code. But other companies, it differs. Like Amazon, I guess it's a bit more ML theory oriented. Like their rounds are in lead code. It's more like problem solving and data handling. That's what you'll see the theme of the rounds when you're interviewing for data science. So not technically coding rounds. So yeah, it depends upon the team. Read the job description, talk to your recruiter, figure out what the process is gonna be.
Great.
Can I add to that? I don't think there's one round that's most important. And I also think it really depends on the job, right? So like for Google, I've never touched lead code before in my life. And I'm a product data scientist. I've gotten many offers. I got an offer at Google. I don't know lead code, right? So if you're going for more an analytics, like product analyst, data science kind of role, you don't need lead code. But I think to answer the original question, all of them are important. I think you can get by if you are a soft yes in one of the categories, but you have to be outstanding in at least 2 categories. If you're going to think about preparation and gaming the system, like really buckle down on what makes you the most special and what you already know your strengths at, but make sure you're brushing on every single topic.
Great. And I think it's good to clarify here, guys, because LeetCode has many different coding questions. Like when we say LeetCode, please specify if you're saying like SQL questions or DSA questions, because they could be different. I assume Don meant there was no DSA questions from LeetCode on your round.
For product data science at Google, no. Actually, most product data science roles, I've probably only seen like 1 DSA question in my life. Okay. So much more SQL heavy, and then Python in terms of like what Karun had said earlier around like k-means clustering. Just being able to do analyses in Python is way more important for product data science.
Awesome. Yes. Let's go ahead with our next slides. And whoever is asking, I saw many questions asking if there will be a recording and the presentations. Yes, this entire live will be recorded, and you can access it later on this YouTube page. So let's go ahead with our next slide.
That's me. Statistics and experimentation. So these interviews you would see in the applied science and product data science type roles, so less commonly in the analyst roles. What these are testing for is how well you understand statistical concepts, but also more importantly, how would you apply these statistical concepts to a real world problem that you actually face on the job. Additionally, they try to test for, I don't know why I said they try. They also test for A/B testing and experiment design. So in some cases, you might not use an A/B test, but we still want to measure the impact of a new feature. What are some other approaches you can use instead of an A/B test? So some questions that we have in here. How would you build and validate a logistic regression model for a specific business purpose? In this example we're giving here is users who are most likely to upgrade to a premium service. So you can imagine that kind of question be asked at like Spotify, right? Any product that has like a freemium offering, how would you identify users who are most likely to upgrade? A second sample question we have in here is around A/B testing. So we have implemented a new recommendation algorithm. How would you design an experiment to test to see if it actually improves our North Star metric, which is, in this case, customer purchase rates? In terms of how to prepare, there are 2 books in here that we recommend. The first one is more EDA type, like how do you apply statistics in a job? And then the second is around A/B testing. So first one, practical statistics for data scientists, and second one is trustworthy online control experiments. Both are great books. And in the PDF that you'll receive after this, we actually go down to the specific chapters that you need to know. Additionally, you might want to practice complex statistical concepts, explaining complex statistical concepts in simple terms. So maybe like call your mom and try to explain linear regression to her. See what she says. Does she understand you? The idea behind this is that you want to be able to explain your models and your solutions to non-technical stakeholders. And then finally, make sure you're really familiar with A/B testing. From experiment design all the way to analysis. This will be relevant for both applied scientists and product data science roles.
Awesome.
Okay. So here
Eyes
comes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one would be data modeling and visualization. This is not common for data scientist roles, but then like maybe data analyst roles and product data scientist roles, that's where this is common. And for data modeling, you can expect it for experienced folks with 4 or 5 years, or it depends on company and team again. And then what are they testing for? Your data modeling skills, and then your ability to design different efficient database schemes, like maybe defining your entities, attributes, or relationships between different tables, and then normalizing or your indexing ability, and then optimizing your query, the scalability depending on your volume, or like taking security measures. And then when it comes to visualization, you need to have good proficiency in creating meaningful visualizations. So you need to know when to use with what kind of chart, like is it line chart, or is it bar chart, or is it area chart, or like whichever chart that you're using, it should be a correct one. And then last but not least, but then identifying patterns and trends, as I mentioned. So it's not just about creating a beautiful dashboard or report, but then gathering amazing insights, or like insightful ones from the data that you have, and then the trends you have, and then helping business in giving recommendations to make better decisions. So that's what these interviews are testing you for, how well you understand each visualization, and then how you can identify patterns, or like gather insights from those visualizations. And these are some of the questions that you can expect when it comes to data modeling, like can you design a database for a library, or maybe how you understand it, which kind of graph would you use for finding relations between multiple variables, and how would you handle many to many relationships between a relation database. So you would create a bridge table, and then you clear that many to many relationship, and then optimizing the database for sure, like maybe indexing, or and also you can expect a question on normalization and denormalization, because you need to know all these first normal form, second normal form, and then more. And how to prepare, our PDF covers these different kind of modeling concepts, and then where you can learn from. We have given you few data sets that you can work on to understand better how you can model the database and everything. And then different tools, you need proficiency in different tools when it comes to visualization, maybe Tableau or Power BI. And then you don't have to learn both, the skills are transferable. If you learn one, the other tool is very similar, so you can always say the skills are transferable during your interviews. And depending on team or company, you can use Python or even Excel. So never underestimate Excel too. Have good knowledge on Excel, because at the end the report's gonna be Excel.
Yes, that is the running joke on LinkedIn. Actually, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen memes, especially from you, Sai, where it's like how many hours you got to spend in SQL just to create a file in Excel for your stakeholders. But yes, Excel is not dead, guys. Excel is still here.
And it will never be.
Yep, you spend like hours building a beautiful dashboard, and they'll be like, "Where can I download the data as Excel?"
Yeah, how do I export it to Excel?
Right. And so do have a question for you guys, actually. So, you know how there's so many platforms for preparing for the interviews, but this one in particular, I feel like it's kind of tricky to prepare with. How are you guys even thinking about creating your visualizations, board, dashboards, and even like data modeling? It's not an obvious thing if you haven't had experience before. I think it's pretty tough. How are you guys preparing for this specific round? And including the A/B testing. I know, yeah. How are you guys preparing before your experience for this?
So coming to visualizations, I did have some capstone projects at my university, and also I worked at Lego as an intern. That helped me understand how real time and then how academia projects work, and that helped me during my interviews to market myself or sell myself.
Hmm. Yeah, that's always good. If you guys are at the university, make sure to use all of their career offices, all of their support that they provide you, because nobody else will do it for you. So make sure to optimize, to leverage everything that you have. Okay, and we do have a couple questions regarding career development. We're gonna leave them to the Q&A sessions, and let's stick to like the technical questions for the interview rounds. Let's go ahead and get started with product sense.
My favorite interview. All right, so this product sense is very, very specific to a product data scientist role. So what they're trying to test for is how would you approach a real world problem as a data scientist on a product team? So these typically come in the form of a case question. Usually they're specific to the company that you're interviewing for, but sometimes I've seen when you work for smaller, or if you're interviewing for a smaller company, they might ask you about something related to a bigger company, something that you as a consumer have more context on. Some sample questions. The first one is, what are some ways to increase user retention in an online grocery shopping app? Right. So now you have to think through, how would you identify what metrics would you use first? How would you identify opportunities? And then what are some actual like product solutions you can come up with to help increase retention? And then the second question we have here is that you're part of an e-commerce company and your marketing team noticed that search results for certain product categories has gone down, and because they're probably not as relevant as before. So how would you investigate what's happening, and always what would you recommend, right? The so what for product data science is really important. Your job doesn't end when you finish doing an analysis. Your job ends when you convince the people to do what you want them to do, and then it gets done. So in terms of how to prepare, some self-promotion in here. I have a product data science interview guide. There's a link in there. And if you guys send me a message on LinkedIn, I'll give you a discount code so you can get it at a discount for watching this video. And there's also Emma Ding's product case interview cheat sheet. So it's a more of a summary. She has really good content. Highly recommend Emma Ding too.
Awesome. Yes. So regarding Dawn's product data science interview guide, you should definitely check it out, because some of my community members, when we had her over for our weekly speaker session, said that it changed their entire preparation flow, because she really breaks down the framework on how you can prepare better for your product sense interviews, especially because not that many people have that like structure of how to communicate those things during the interview. So I highly recommend checking it out. And in fact, I think I can send a link right now. Check it out, but do ask her for the code, so you're not going to buy at the full price. Yeah. So thank you.
And just to add, and then I was one of them when I was getting into field. I got that guide from Don, and then I read it completely. It's amazing. You shouldn't miss that.
Oh, you did? That's so
Thanks,
cool.
y'all.
Yeah, I read it too. I loved it. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead with our next one.
Awesome. So yeah, coming to the MLDL sort of theory rounds, more commonly seen for the applied data scientist or data scientist job role. So essentially, if you read the job description, if it has a mention of like building models, building like recommender systems, forecasting some of those models, you can sort of expect these type of rounds in one of your recruitment process rounds, I guess. So essentially, what do these rounds test for? They test for how your understanding of how to fit and tune models, and your ability to choose between different models and different metrics. So some sample questions to get at these kind of reasonings would be, how does randomization help in random forest, or like even like higher models like XGBoost? How do you decide if linear regression is a good model to solve your regression use case? So to crack this round, you essentially need to focus on fundamental theory, because machine learning and deep learning both are very broad topics. You don't need to know every model under the sky. There are a few common models that you need to know, and we cover them in the roadmap. Apart from the ones that are covered in the roadmap, make sure you understand the models that you have mentioned in your resume. So these rounds also get very resume dense. They ask you questions from your resume. The most of the questions will fall around 2 or 3 theme of questions, which is essentially, why did you choose this model, why did you choose this metric, and what other options did you consider, and how did you end up with this final one. and how did you optimize this model? So not just hyperparameter tuning, but error analysis. Like when you fit a model, it won't obviously perform 100% accurate, or whatever the metric you're using, it's gonna misclassify or regress on certain samples of data. You need to be able to show you analyzed it, figured out why it was not working effectively on those subsets of data, and how you improved it. Error analysis is like one of the most undervalued skills, and if you talk about that in your interviews, it really catches the eye of your interviewer. So make sure you invest a good amount of time when you're doing projects on that. Now, again, pretty broad topic. Since it's theory, feel free to drop your questions related to it in the chat. Maybe we can go to the next slide.
Sure. So I did want to mention something before you continue, Karun. If you guys do not know Karun, I think you are in for a great surprise, because he's probably one of the largest mentors out there who does things for free, which I still do not understand. Like, the amount of mentees that he had gone through is insane. So if you check it out, there's like thousands of people that have gone through his mentorship and have landed jobs. So I really encourage you to follow him on LinkedIn, and follow his Top Made Digital, the resources that he provides there too. Go ahead, please.
Thanks, Manny. Thanks for shout out. Yeah, the next one, system design, again, commonly seen mostly just for the applied data science round, and also not usually seen for the entry level rounds, more for the mid and senior level rounds, even though a few sort of like smaller size companies, startups, they do ask these rounds just because they want people who wear a lot of different hats. So, and this is sort of like my favorite round, because when you're prepping for these rounds, you sort of get to know how systems are built at different companies, which can get very very well beautifully designed, and sometimes very patchy as well. So yeah, it's a really interesting round to prep for. So what does this actually test for? It essentially tests for your ability to analyze a business problem, figure out what kind of ML formulation to convert it to, figure out the metrics that would fit to solve this business problem as best as possible, and then figure out how to build that production pipeline, essentially from training, retraining, inference, monitoring, all of those good stuff. So a sample question can be as sort of broad as a design system to predict Netflix watch times. And again, what they're looking to understand is that thought process, how you break down the business problem, figure out what's important to business, convert it into an ML formulation, choose the metrics, choose the design, all of that. So again, definitely a very broad topic, but in the roadmap, we have covered like a good book by Chip Hewen, who's like very well known within ML system design, released like quite a few books on that, but she has a free version. So definitely check that out. And we have mock interviews from pretty well followed YouTube channels. One is Jay Feng's interview series, which he does as part of Interview Query, and the other is Exponent series on White YouTube again. You have senior staff data scientists walking through system design, so you not only get to get a grasp of a framework you can use, but you actually get to see how systems are built in big companies. So yeah, definitely an interesting interview to prep for.
Great. Should we maybe take a couple questions from the chat? So it looks like Archie.tech-T19 was asking, which resources can you suggest for understanding error analysis better?
So that gets a bit broad because it depends upon the model. Typically, the best thing to do is in your projects, once you sort of, so the basic thing that most data scientists do is fit different models, figure out which one's better, and then go for that one. But if you take it a step further, you look at for example, if it's a classification problem, you look at the confusion metrics, you sort of figure out what samples are misclassified, what are the patterns within those samples, and what feature could you actually engineer to capture those patterns better. That cycle, like Sai mentioned, you do EDA multiple times. Data science is very cyclical. So this is less a resource to do error analysis. It's more related to the projects that you actually work on, and making sure you go through that cycle again and again to improve your model.
Great. Let's take one more before we go into the next one. Rikin Patel is asking, I wonder if the interviews dive into the CI/CD approach for devs to deploy their functionalities. What do you think?
So yeah, typically, like for applied data scientists, there's a bit of productionization. So if you know one of the platforms, it's good. Like one of the cloud. So like for me, I prepped on SageMaker, but there are different other sources like GCP and Airflow is another good stack. But if you know essentially a good stack for the deployment portion, that's good. And the continuous integration portion, like CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment, the continuous integration portion, I think most companies use Git. But yeah, if there's anything else, that should work too. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's head to the next slide.
Behavioral interviews. This will apply to all roles, whether you apply to data role or non-data role, but you should be a data analyst, data scientist, or applied scientist because it's the best job, sexiest job, according to Harvard Business Review. I didn't say that. So what are these interviews testing for? They really are trying to get to know you better, who you are as a person, what's important to you, and how well will you fit in the company's culture, the team that you're working on. So there's usually a lot of situational, like, tell me about yourself type questions, right? So tell me about a conflict you had with your coworker and how you handled it. Tell me about a time where you had to convince someone to do something they were initially against doing. For these, I would make sure to be very, very, very familiar with every data point on your resume. I should have put down the slide, but I forgot. But make sure you can talk about every single thing of your resume in detail and that you can back it up. If you're exaggerating something on your resume, that will come out during an interview. So make sure you're being very honest on your resume. In addition to knowing what's on your resume, I would also use this 3-step framework. Basically, you think about everything in your past experience and come up to 5 to 10 stories of what you're most proud of. Then make sure you are able to tell these stories using the STAR framework. STAR is situation, task, action, and result, right? So everything from what was it before you, what you did, and what happened because of what you did. Then I would go into ChatGPT and ask them to come up with 20 behavioral questions specific for the job description and specific to the interview type that you're getting, right? So what I will do here is it'll look at the job description and pull out the behaviors that they believe is most important for this role and come up with 20 behavioral questions for you. From there, you can map those 20 questions to the stories that you came up with, right? So each question can map to multiple stories. Each story can map to multiple questions. So this way, every time you interview for a new company, you just have to do step number 2 and step number 3. You don't have to come up with a whole new set of stories. You have the same stories and you should be telling them in roughly the same way for every company. And yeah, that's a hack for your behavioral interviews.
Awesome. All right. We only have, I think we have 2 more slides left. So if you guys have any questions relating to the previous slides, this is the time to ask. Let's not lose our focus and continue learning. Let's go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, the take-home assignments, sort of the chillest interview because you don't really have to perform in front of an audience while you're coding, which is good, but also the most time-consuming one because the amount of time you spend on it is basically the amount of time you have. So this is also a good interview because it's the most comprehensive one. Primarily, you get to work on a problem similar to usually a problem very similar to what the team that you're hoping to get hired in is working on. So you can demonstrate your domain knowledge as well as your technical skill in that particular problem. And this round again tests how well you understand that particular topic or domain that the company is looking to hire for, as well as obviously your technical skill set. And most importantly, I would say 50% or equally important is how well you communicate your insights and how well you communicate your approach. because usually you have the take home assignment, you get maybe 2 days to a week to work on it, then you come back and you present your results. So that communication portion is make or break. So 50% focus on the communication. So typical questions can be something like the Walmart sales forecasting accuracy data set is a good example, where you're essentially trying to predict the sales for a store item combination over the next X days. Or there is an actual Kaggle competition going on, hosted by a bank called Standard, which is where they're trying to predict customer transactions. So that's an actual sort of take-home assignment that you can see on Kaggle right now. I think the competition is still going on. And the main thing again to focus on is the data science life cycle. I mean, apart from focusing on the domain, you need to focus on the data science life cycle. Essentially, this practice of understanding the business, what is important to them, converting that problem into an ML solution, the metrics, the model, and finally figuring out a solution and communicating the results. That's called the data science lifecycle. Make sure you communicate your results in that systematic approach. It's as important as something like the star, and it's good to be systematic when you're communicating insights. And before you present the results for the final round back to your interviewers, make sure you take a minute to practice. I've seen a lot of people do very good work coding wise, but they clearly haven't prepared to communicate their results, and it comes across a bit bad in interviews. So make sure you take the time to communicate your results, practice before you come for the interview. I think that's the last slide for the rounds.
Amazing. Wow. Okay, so I think yes, it is. But before we go into another slide that we prepared on where what you should and what you shouldn't do during the interviews, I would like to ask a question from the audience. Whoever wants to respond. There were many questions about how to stand out without experience, particularly Mandeep asked as well. How do we stand out without any experience?
I can take it, but let's see from audience if they have any answer.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, what
Yeah,
do you guys think? What would you do if you had no experience? How would you build it? And in fact, we're going to talk about this in a few slides because that's why we have workshops for you to build your portfolio projects. So, yeah, Sai, do you want to help?
yes, so I can take it. So I was there like a year back. I was with no experience, and then few things that I have done at my university to stand out were like I participated in few competitions and hackathons in data science, and then I also won a few of them. So that helped me stand out from the crowd. And I also did an internship at Lego as a data scientist that helped me land this job. And then you can also not just these competitions or hackathons, you can also do some freelancing work, which gives you real time experience. Maybe go to a local shop and ask for their data, and then let's say you help them with your visualizations or like build something on your own. Freelancing is something you can do, and then and that gives you real world experience. And then start with guided projects, but then don't put those on your resume like Titanic or Boston or like all these iris data sets. But start you learning from them, but then build something of your own, maybe from end to end data gathering to putting it on your Git and everything. So you by integrating different tools, because at industry you wouldn't use only one tool, but then you would use combination of multiple tools, SQL, Excel, Tableau, and then a deployment or publishing it to Power BI service or anything. So that's how you set apart when you have no experience. Like try to differentiate yourself from the crowd.
Yes, this is a great story. By the way, guys, if you do not know Sai's story, it's really impressive because he actually got a job right after graduating his master's degrees, almost with no experience. And you got to listen to what he's saying because that's how he landed an amazing job where he works now. So, and looks like audience has pretty good answers too. Like volunteering is a very good common approach too, and freelancing definitely. But then you get paid. So if you can get paid, why not? So yeah, love those responses, guys. Let's go ahead.
Can
with
I
our-
add one thing real quick? So actually doing something Sai had said before. I think those really good tips are getting into the interview, right? But then once you interview, like you have to be fully prepared. You cannot wing anything, especially in the current market. Like if you can get your foot in the door, you need to convert that into an offer. And something that Sai had said to me that I had never thought about, which is really going above and beyond, is in your first call, ask the hiring manager, what's the biggest data problem they have, or like what is something that's top of mind for them. Next time you talk to them, you come with a sample solution for them, fully written out, built out with fake data. That will really make you stand out. Of course, it's a lot of work, but once you get into the job, it's also a lot of work. So you might as well start now.
That is so true. I just remembered you were telling us at the previous event that you asked the right question on what is exactly your team is working on, and in the next interview you were like, here's what I got, like another proposal, which was so cool. Yes,
Yeah.
everyone, please follow Sai, and well, I think he also has a Topmate, so check out his Topmate page and everything else he
Go with
has.
a slide or two, and then how you would solve their problem.
Yeah, awesome. Who's next?
So coming to do's and like don'ts of the interviews. So as Don and Mary mentioned, have questions prepared for your interviewer for sure. So when they ask, do you have any questions, don't just say no. Have questions prepared. Like it can be about the role or company. Learn about their mission, values, and then see the job description if you have any specific question related to your job experience or like your experience, and then job description. And the most underrated one, check your internet, camera, and microphone. In this current market, getting a call is more difficult than getting the job. So when you get that call, make sure that everything is working fine for sure. And once your interview is done, send a thank you email. Most people don't do this, but then it just keeps you in loop, and then the interviewer will remember you because they interview a lot of people, be it recruiter or hiring manager. They have tons of students or professionals applying for that role. So send a thank you email once the interview is done. Like include what you have learned, what you have understood about the company, and then how you can help them in solving their problem, and then what you can bring on the company if you were hired. And research the company, as I mentioned, learn about their mission, value, and then what are their like current problems or recent achievements. A simple Google search would tell you, or chat gpt would tell you what are their achievements and what are their pain points and what are their mission or values, and then learn about those. Try to incorporate those things in your answers. That's what sets you apart. So when they're hearing your answers, they should hear their mission and values indirectly but not directly for sure. And follow up here if you don't hear back. And then most people don't follow up. Let's say you set a timeline, maybe 2 days or 3 days after your interview, 2 to 3 business days when I meant that. So follow up twice or thrice, and then make sure that you're including what you can bring on, how your interview well, and ask them if there's anything that you can do to move to further rounds. So keep them in loop, keep yourself in loop, and then get those replies. And then don't hesitate to follow up and then get reply and get ignored, or else don't have that regret of not following up, and then having, maybe if I had replied, or maybe if I texted them, I would have gotten a reply, or maybe I would have gotten job. So don't be in that dilemma. Just send that email and then get ignored or get that's the best way. And then coming to don'ts, when you don't know to an answer, like don't give up. Let them know your thought process, how you would solve if you had time, or like if you have an answer for a similar question, make sure to answer that question. So show them your problem solving skills and critical thinking if you don't know the exact answer. And show up late to your interviews. Everyone's time is valuable, be it your time or be it their time. And then they might have to interview multiple people on the same day. So never show up late to your interviews. Be on time, like probably 5 minutes earlier, just to check your internet, camera, microphone, and then be on time. And then dress well for sure. Like that's most important. And be rude to anyone in the entire interview process. Yeah, when you're following up or when you're sending a thank you email, like be professional. Don't like, you might get angry, and then you will get angry, but then don't show it in the emails or during your interview process. And the next thing is interrupting the interviewer. When the interviewer is dictating a question or like giving feedback on your answers, don't interrupt them. Let them complete what they're trying to say, and then reply back, and then reply. So never interrupt them to give your version of correct answer, or like your version of answer. So grasp what they're saying, and then align your answers to what they're inferring. And last but not least, when you're working and then you're shifting to a new company or industry, people tend to speak negatively about their previous employers. So when you get a question of, say, why are you looking for new opportunities, don't just say that like my manager was bad at like or else I didn't like this company, my previous company, or something like that. So let them know that you want to face new challenges, or you're looking for growth opportunities. So that's how you tell that's how you answer that question, instead speaking negatively about your current employers or previous employees. Show them that you're open to learn, you are open for new challenges, and then you want to grow in your career. That's what sets you apart. And then don't speak negatively about your previous or current employers.
Love this. Yes, this is very, 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 very important, especially in 2024. This is the only shot that you got. If you have an interview, you're a lucky person and you probably will have worked really hard to get it. So don't mess it up. So that's a great slide, actually one of my favorite slides. But let's go ahead with I guess we have one more about the typical interview process.
Yes, I'll just keep it short. So the first round will generally be recruiter. It might be a phone call or Google Meet or Teams, depending on the company, and then team again. And then like prepare a few questions at the end for end of every round for sure. And then for this, tell me about yourself is the most important question. Like align it to your job description and then your previous experience, and then how it helps you in the current job role. And then the next round you can expect is hiring manager round or panel round, depending on the company and team again. So make sure to this can be a technical round again. And then the next round is also on site or virtual. I mean, post COVID it's virtual, but then pre COVID it was on site. But then a few companies right now are inviting for an on site round. So if it's an on site round, make sure to dress up well and then prepare questions. You might have multiple rounds, depending on if it's a big tech, you might have multiple rounds on same day. So that's something you need to be prepared for. And then last one is behavioral or cultural round. As Don mentioned, it's very important and to make up or like relate your current stories of your like current success stories or failure stories in a star format to better understand, to let them understand how you deal with how you deal in difficult situations, and then how you overcame those to provide a positive impact to the company. And the last one, your offer negotiation. That's the most and loud part, I think, for everyone. So like research the market and then research the company, talk with people, and you can use Glassdoor or other websites to see how much data scientist makes at X company or Y company, and then use your skills and experience, and then everything to align it to that, and then negotiate nicely. And it's not just about the salary, but there are other perks too, like say your PTOs or your remote opportunities. Like it's not just the compensation, but there are other things that you can negotiate too. So it's all like typically 2 to 5 rounds, but depending on the company, it can go higher. And then if you're lucky, you can get hired at two rounds. So it depends. So it's always good to be prepared for the worst, not for the best. So that's how it is. So
Great. Yes, we were just going to ask because I think we have like two people asking when is the appropriate time to discuss salary, but it looks like towards the end, right, Sai, as you mentioned, when you have gone through the entire process, that's when you're like, okay, time to negotiate.
During the recruiter round, they might ask you what's your expected salary. So be sure to answer it. And then because if they want to reject you, they'll reject you at the end. Or let's say you ask for 200K and then they can't afford you, so you'll get rejected first. It saves time for you and for them. So if they ask, be transparent.
Yes, I love this. Do not waste anyone's time. Be upfront. I love this so much, guys. Thank you for explaining the entire flow. Again, we've been preparing this entire panel for like more than a month, and we've met every single week to make sure that we're including almost all the relevant resources that we can find on the entire internet for free. So we're going to be sending the slide, the link to this video, and the entire PDF as we promised tonight. So this is amazing. And remember, guys, I mentioned about the workshops that are upcoming for the break into data. So many of you asked how can you build your portfolios and how can you actually make it relevant to your job search? And that is why me and my team of engineers, of core team of engineers at Break Into Data, decided to finally create a guided workshop that will last 1 week, and we're going to be launching it this August 3rd, and this is the first time. You guys are the first ones to receive these news, because this is going to be a limited, actually, oh no, I forgot to put the limit, but anyway, it's going to be a limited amount of people that are going to be participating in the workshop, maximum of 20 people, because we really want to make sure that we provide a step-by-step guide for you how to create a relevant in-demand computer vision project. And if you follow this QR code, not this one, wait a second, not the join the Discord one, but the other one behind, you will find our workshop outline. And if you want to build something that is relevant to the industry, then go ahead and check it out. And if you are ready to sign up for it, you can use this panel code. The coupon code called panel, because this is specific for this panel event. And feel free to ask any other questions for our interview. For our mentors here, because we have a Q&A session coming up. And if you have any questions regarding the workshop, let me know too. And why don't we go ahead and open our Q&A, guys? This is the time for you to ask your burning questions. I know we missed lots of them. So you know what, guys? If you really like a certain question, just respond, say like +1. That means like it's more popular, and we're going to try to answer those. But either way, let's go ahead and...
The moment you all have been waiting for.
Yes. If you guys, mentors, please, if you find any question that you like, go ahead and pick it.
Yeah, I like
Couple
the
I thought I'll
question
just-
around. Oh,
No, go ahead.
I like that. I was asked a few times. So there was a question around like, what are questions that are appropriate to ask the interviewers? Maybe Karun, Sai, want to take those? Or I can get you too, but you guys go ahead.
My favorite question, I guess, is sort of a year down the line, what would you expect someone in this role to have achieved? Primarily because it gives you a really good idea about what projects they have in mind for you. And yeah, there are definitely some companies who hire data scientists and then sort of figure out on the run that, okay, we hired somebody, they will sort of help us define everything. But yeah, sometimes that may not be something that you're looking to do. Like some companies, yeah, definitely you might want to like wear a lot of hats. But yeah, in some roles that may not be something that you're looking to. So yeah, getting that answer from the interviewer will give you a good idea of what to expect, and the fact that, hey, you as an interviewee, you're focused.
Got it. For me, my favorite question would be, as I mentioned, like asking, like if you were hiring a person for this role, what would they work on? And then most people, like even recruiters or hiring managers, they'll be more than happy or generous enough to tell you the high level. And then I would go and make a slide or two on that, and then let them know these are the sources I would use, these are how I would pull the data, and then this is my workflow, and then I would present it. Like I'll take the permission to present it for a 2 to 5 minute during the next round if I get selected. So that's one of the questions that I ask in every interview for sure. And then another thing would be about the company, and then role, and then the tools that I use, and then the company's long-term goals, if they are aligned with my goals or not. So something like that.
Yeah. I like to ask questions that I believe are going to make people sweat a little. I think that's when you really get a sense of whether or not you want to work at a company, right? And think about interviews as a two-way street. They're not just interviewing you, but this is also your chance to decide if these are people you want to work with. So for me, the questions that I found the highest ROI on are asking the hiring manager, what are some things you are working on to become a better people manager? And if they don't have a good answer, and I've seen that before, to me, that was an immediate no, I don't want to work at that company. The other question I like to ask is, how does the company use data to make decisions? Sometimes you'll hear, they don't. Everything is top down. Then again, like I've had that answer before, and I chose not to work there because I didn't want to work at a company that's not data driven. So I think maybe more importantly is think about what's really important to you, and then try to figure out questions that can help you answer those questions, right? So for me, it's like, I want to work for someone who cares about my personal development, who prioritizes being a good people manager, and also just making sure that I'm at a company where data is valued. So that's why I asked those questions.
Amazing.
Any other questions? Oh, there's a lot.
there were
You guys pick one.
some questions around like like easily answerable questions around like salary ranges and how to know, what platforms to use to get job alerts, like salary ranges. The only thing that I used was Levels.fi. I think it's a bit more better now because Glassdoor, they started releasing information for some reason. But yeah, I think Levels.fi is a good one. You get a good salary range. Try and pick somewhere in the middle, but always say that, hey, for me the work is more important, so that you sort of leave the room a bit open, so that you can still move forward, especially in this market. That's good to do. And yeah, for the job applications, you can use as many as you want. I feel LinkedIn is still the most effective one, and for the big companies, because sometimes it depends. Like a lot of people do say that you need to get your application as fast as possible. Wherever I worked, I've seen like recruiters take maybe a week or 2 weeks to start processing the funnel. So I don't know, but yeah, if it does matter to you to get your application as fast as possible, there is a way to like just set up alerts on like Google career pages or Amazon career pages, so that as soon as like a new job posting is comes out, you will get an email immediately. So there's no other faster way to get alerts. I think you can just Google that, like set up Google alerts on websites, and you'll get
Yeah.
a ton of
You also have LinkedIn alerts. You can set up, and then you can set alerts to career websites of different companies. I think most companies have started doing this, so you can set alerts by giving your email ID in the career website of different companies. So explore the company's official website too.
Some questions around how to use LinkedIn to stand out. You're talking to the right group. We're all LinkedIn creators. But I'll answer. I'm sure there are more ideas. Make sure your profile is optimized for a recruiter to know instantly what you do and what you want to do. Right. And there are a bunch of YouTube videos on this. I would definitely go check those out. But on a high level, just make sure like it's clear what jobs you're looking for, what your experience is, and like any skills, certifications, any of those that you have. I also have a hypothesis. This one's not proven, so take it a grain of salt. But I do think the more you post, the higher you show up on search results, right? There's like an influence score probably that they assign to accounts based on like how likely you are to like increase activity on LinkedIn. That just be able to say, start posting, share your projects, share what you're learning. The first post is always the most awkward. I'm sure all of us can agree with that. But once you get past the hump, it becomes so much easier. It's actually kind of fun to post on LinkedIn. So I definitely recommend just posting on there.
Yeah. You can start with your projects. Like never hesitate. Just tap on that post, and trust me, LinkedIn is addictive. I think all of us are addictive here.
We are.
That's right. Let's see, guys. What are the other burning questions that you have? Oh, and looks like
a good question around transitioning. Especially I think between roles within company, across companies. I think yeah. Just opening up to the panel. Yeah. From business analyst, BI, data analyst, data science, like moving between them, how to do it, I guess.
Yeah, so the way I would recommend you do it, I think there are two pieces, right? One is look at 10 job opportunities, job descriptions for companies that you want to work for in your dream roles. Look at what skills they're asking for and think about how you can find opportunities to do that in your current role. So for me, right, I was a business analyst at Amazon. I wanted to become a product data scientist at Meta. And what was missing from my experience. So I know I can do SQL with my eyes closed, so I don't have to worry about that. But I don't know anything about product, right? I don't know anything about product management. So I started setting up meetings like one-on-ones with my product managers. I asked them what they do. I get an idea of like, what does a product manager care about? Then I found ways to product manage my own projects. So we started building a whole like database and data visualization project thing. And I was the product manager of it. If you ask other people, they might not say I'm the product manager, but I tried to product manage it as best as I can and became the tech lead of that role. When it comes to A/B testing, find people at your company who are doing A/B testing, if there are, right? For me, I worked on ads, so it's not like the traditional sense of an A/B test, but there are people who run like different versions of ads, and so I talked to those product account managers to get to understand like what do you do, what do you care about, how does an experiment work. So I would find ways to learn what you want to learn in your current job. I will also find ways to do what you want to do in your current job, right? So if you want to become a data analyst, start by creating a dashboard, a report, find some data, start doing SQL. Just find ways to do it. You don't need anyone's permission to do it. Actually, you might need people to give you permission to the database. But other than that, you don't need anyone's permission to do more work, right? Tell your manager this is something you're interested in, go work on it. If they get mad at you, that's on them. I wouldn't worry about that. I don't think they will fault you for doing more, but I would definitely just try and find ways to do the things that you want to do. Get it. I'm rambling a little. I'm going to stop after this. But you want to get to the point where you are already a data analyst and it's like a no-brainer you should transition into that role, right? That's how I transitioned from business analyst to business intelligence engineer at Amazon. I just started building and designing databases and building pipelines. And then it was like, oh, I'm not an analyst anymore. I'm an engineer now. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Amazing. I love this. I love this perspective actually, because like most of the time I feel people are failing at imposter syndrome because we think that we're not good enough for this job role because we clearly did not have a professional experience, and that's why like it's hard for you to be confident during the interviews when you weren't even paid for doing such things. But I love this approach because this will allow you to be in the same mindset of like, yes, I'm already doing this like on a day-to-day basis. Why not just like now I'm just doing it for someone else? So that's why actually I put the link here for the workshop. That's why we created this entire step-by-step guide that will last a week, where we could share with you how to do it on a professional setting with a version control system, with a GitHub environment, with all the ticketing and project management thing. And because like me myself, I did not know how to do it because I did not have that experience. And how are you gonna learn how the professional environment looks like? So I decided it's time for us to create something where people can get actual experience, and it's also a short period of time, but you will be exposed to those like techniques and the mindsets, and it will prepare you for your interviews too. So make sure to take advantage of this because this is our first one, and this is going to be the cheapest ever, so that people in India and everywhere else can afford it and actually get solid experience. So check it out, the link here. But let's see what other questions we have.
I saw one nice question, like, do you think the interested comment posts are scam? Most of them are, but there might be genuine. It wouldn't hurt. So, I mean, like, do not comment. Like, if you see a person asking comment interested, reach out to them directly instead, increasing the visibility for the post and then letting them scam more people. So if they're asking for email, either if they're asking to do something, go into their DMs. If they want to help you, they'll help you. If not, no. So in this way you're not increasing the post visibility and then helping them scam more people. So try to reach out the person directly if they're asking to do something, and then if they say that they're hiring.
Yeah, definitely don't comment your emails. Typically
Yes.
haven't found that useful.
Yeah, that's so crazy when people do that. But
There's another question. I think I've seen it quite often on LinkedIn as well. Do certifications from Google, Databricks help if you don't have experience? I think it takes a lot to crack a role. So there's this. It's basically a two-part game, right? You need to first land a callback, and then you need to clear your interview. For both of them, I think a good like majority contributor is going to be projects. So the first thing you need to make sure is you have good projects, then like focus on interview prep. If you have time remaining, then maybe certifications might help. Certifications help more, I feel like, for ML engineers, because AWS or GCP or Azure, knowing one of those platforms very well is important for them. Or like Databricks, if you're a data engineer, there's like another plethora of tools. But otherwise, the main thing to start with is projects, then interview prep as in coding or product sense or SQL, depending upon your role. If you have time remaining, then spend it on certifications.
Yes. Or
Yeah,
if you
and
want to take, yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
Okay, if you want to take certifications, take it, but then don't spend thousands of dollars or lakhs of rupees on that. Just take the basic one, but then learn from them and then implement projects. So don't end at just watching those Python videos, SQL, machine learning videos, and don't end there. Go an extra mile and make some personal projects, because that's what it's all about. Practical knowledge is more important than your theoretical knowledge. So, but then don't spend lakhs or thousands of dollars on that.
Yeah. And I think we're all kind of saying the same thing, which is like projects are so important. And whether you want to do a guided project, well, you should always be doing your own project at some point. But if you want a place to start, like I would attend Mary's workshop, right? It's 7 days and I think it's $30, Mary. I looked at it was in Colombian pesos. Okay, it's about $30, right? And it's a really good deal for 7 days. So I would definitely check that out. Give it a shot. Check it out. And I think she said, is there a limit to how many people can sign up?
There is a limit, 20 people, because we will be providing mentorship too, and we can only support 20 people for that week. And the coupon code is panel, so make sure to get your seats before somebody else will. Thank you.
Yeah, that's gonna fill out fast.
I think it would have filled already.
Let's see. Okay, so what is the duration of the workshop per day? Is it online, sync, or async? So we're gonna have 3 days out of those 7 days where we're gonna create the live interaction with you guys, where we will provide an outline for what you need to build, and at the end of each day, we will show you how it is actually done after you complete your own part, and we'll show you like, okay, you did it well, you did not do well, and we'll give you a chance to ask questions from our technical supporters that are also, one of them is a CTO. He has worked at a hedge fund at a high frequency trading and created all those platforms, including machine learning algorithms that helped predict prices. And they've made a bunch of money from that. But now I was like, please come to EdTech. We need you. We need your brains. And I was like, okay, so we're going to have great support over there. Make sure to check it out. Yeah.
Another question I see is, I see data analyst roles are domain specific. How to justify for these roles, like say healthcare or supply chain? Yeah, sometimes this can be domain specific, especially for experienced roles, or like when it comes to healthcare. When you're working for hospitals, you would need to understand those HIPAA rules and everything, and then you would require. But then when it's an entry level role, mostly they don't require domain specific. But then if you have a domain, if you have some domain in your mind that you want to get into, so focus, like make sure that your projects are aligned to those, like maybe your personal projects, use an API or like let's scrape the data from that domain, and then build the knowledge. Maybe watch a YouTube video or take a course on something, or like read different blogs on that industry or that particular domain, and then build up that knowledge so that you can stand out from the crowd. Because if it's an entry level role, no one has the domain knowledge. But if you have done some homework by reading some blogs or doing some personal project in that domain, you would be set apart from the crowd.
I also think it's helpful to just real quick, just volunteer also, right? Especially in the healthcare space, you can easily volunteer at a hospital, senior center, mental health hotline, something, right? Just volunteer, get involved in the space so that you get more educated if it's truly something you want to work in. And that experience, that volunteering experience would give you insight into what it's like working there. Shall we move on to more questions? I like this one around ChatGPT. Okay, the question from Sanjay is, what is your opinion on ChatGPT 4? I guess 4 and above, right? That can handle all aspects of data analysis. Do you think this is concerning for freshers in the data analyst field?
Not at all. From my view, it can handle few things. It can automate your part of your work, but then it will not replace you. But a person using AI will replace you for sure, if not AI. But it can't handle large amounts of data, like terabytes or like thousands of terabytes, as of now at least. So, and it can't interpret the data. Like, you're the decision maker, it can't make decisions. A human has to make at the end for sure. Maybe it can make a graph for you, can clean the data for you, but you're the one that's going to take insights from that and then explain it to stakeholder and make a decision. So in order to stand out, improve that communication skill along with your technical skills. Like, until now you only needed technical skills few years back, but then now it's going to change. So it's the combination that will set you apart when there's AI coming after you.
Yeah, I've tried using ChatGPT for my analysis. I thought it'd be a great way to take the day off, put my data in and just have them do the work. It's nowhere near where it needs to be, right? And remember, your job as a data person, an analyst, a scientist, whatever it is, your value is in the thinking piece, and ChatGPT didn't do that yet. So until then, I think our jobs are still pretty safe.
Let's see.
Absolutely nothing to add. Yeah.
Guys, I did not know we could do this. Check this out.
Yeah. I was just about to send you a link.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this one.
Any thoughts on how MLE roles are different than TS roles? So MLE roles are more about deployment and scaling. So if you're targeting those roles, focus on distributed processing, streaming pipelines, and get really good at one of the cloud stacks and a good orchestration stack. Airflow is the most popular one, or at least the most popular one that I know of. And yeah, one of the cloud stacks, AWS, GCP, as maybe not as here, but yeah, AWS or GCP, and yeah, distributed processing and streaming pipelines. Yeah, those are like good ones, skills to have. As an ML, data science is completely different. Modeling, understanding data, providing insights.
Yeah. And then I'll speak a little bit about product data science. I'm not sure if this question was specific to that, but product data science is very collaboration heavy, I believe, compared to applied scientists, right? So like you are in meetings most of the day, talking to folks, understanding your users. It's a lot of just like working with the engineers, your product manager, your designer, and making sure that the team as a whole is moving forward in the right direction. So it's going to be much less like heads down time. It's a lot more collaboration time. And again, it's a lot focused on your impact and on strategy and operations rather than how technical you work with. So I don't think I've built a model in years in my job. Is that true? Maybe a few years. But I'm still a data scientist and I do my job well, I think.
Next question I see is the workshop you have is related to deep learning and computer vision. Okay. And then you have any workshop of data analytics. Yeah, this workshop is amazing if you want to get into data science roles. Like it's based on machine learning and everything. So make sure to join if you are looking into that. But then if you want to get into data analytics or SQL or SQL, and then I've seen that Code Basics has started a new bootcamp, Data Analytics 3.0. I would recommend that. So feel free to check out Code Basics website on their web.
Yes, and keep in mind we're gonna have more of these workshops. This is our first one on computer vision, and it doesn't mean that this type of don't look at the topic as much because you're going to learn about the workflow that many people do not have access to, and that's the main point. Like if you will learn how to interact and get that ticketing management system well, and you will be able to communicate with other people and ask for guidance with mentors, they're going to give you a real experience feel during this workshop. So make sure to check it out.
Yep, it's really comprehensive. It has Git included. So yeah, everything that you do in the industry, you're going to see in this workshop. So definitely a really good value for money here.
Resume too.
Thank you, guys. If any of the speakers here want to attend the workshop, feel free to do this. Sai might be joining, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done vision before, so yeah, definitely interested.
Awesome. Okay, so I like many questions. Okay, how about this one? How to transition from traditional ML to CV NLP roles? So it's so cool that you already have a traditional ML job. I feel like once you have entered the industry and you already have experience, it's going to be much easier for you than the other folks. However, you do need to make sure that you have projects, again, related to the new domain. And make sure to know which companies you're targeting and what kind of computer vision roles or NLP roles that you want, because there's so many of them. So, yeah.
Same, CV is going, it's also good to have an idea about the trends in the field. NLP is like pretty heavy on QA nowadays. CV is going very, not just CV, like multimodal embeddings are going very viral and vector DB is going very viral. So yeah, those are like, just figure out like some trends in the field and make sure your projects are relevant. Yeah.
Great. I think I like this one. I can't find it on the thing, but I'm having difficulty balancing time between job applications and interview prep. How many hours do you recommend allocating on a daily basis?
So
I like that question too. I think we've all kind of been there, right? We all are
yes,
there right now. It's a really tough one, right? And kudos to you for trying to balance your current job with looking for a job. I know it's very stressful, but at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it. For me, how I did was I know what hours of the day I'm most productive, and that is like 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. So I take that time and I use it for interview prep because interview prep is my number one priority. So I push back my work hours by an hour and I just like fully focus on interview prepping for that time. And then on the weekends I do a little bit more. I was talking to one of my clients about this too, and I think you kind of had to sacrifice a little bit during this time, right? Whether that means like going out less with your friends or watching less of your favorite TV show, whatever it is, like there's going to be a little bit of a trade-off, but it's going to be worth it when you get your dream job and you get your 40% pay increase and you get unlimited PTO and whatever, whatever it matters to you.
just the matter of time.
Same approach here. For me, slightly different in the sense that I still am not the kind of person who can sit and study for long hours. So I used to do all my referrals and applications at night when I know I'm almost dead, and prep a bit in the morning. So for me, lead code is a bit hard. So it's like something I need to warm up towards. So I would take like a 1 hour break in between my work times and do lead code problems. Morning, I would just focus on theory, MLTL theory, a bit of lead code in like after lunch, and then applications. You do set aside like consolidated time for applications because it feels like you're doing something whenever you click that apply button, but it doesn't add that much value when you're in terms of a prep. So maybe like half an hour, maybe an hour a day, and not more than that. Just like tutorial hell, there is this application hell. Don't get into that.
Got it. I think you guys have covered everything, but just to add on, the best time to network is when you're not desperate. So when you have a job, that's the best time to network. People would reply, they would give their time more than when you were not having jobs. So when if you're working, start building that network so that you're not desperate. And then when you are desperate, you can use that network to get a new job.
Yeah, I like this word desperate. Like, but this is so true. Like you have to start thinking, and like it's just like gardening, I love this analogy of like planting seeds and just like creating these new connections so that later on in a few seasons down the line you can reap the benefits. So it's a long-term game, guys. Do not like think that people are so happy to like get you a job immediately.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
so
need to build that relation first.
exactly, just like what we're doing with these four folks here. I love these guys so much, guys. But okay, let's see.
Next question I see is how much time it takes to generally for someone to start preparing for data role, how much time per week a person should invest. So I think it goes down to your priorities and then like everyone's way of thinking and then their grasping power is different. So I think it's you that you have to decide how much time you want to spend. A person might grasp a model in few minutes, someone that might take few days. So it depends on how fast you can grasp and then how much time you can dedicate on practicing and then doing projects. So like if someone says that you need to put 3 hours a day for 7 days a week for 2 months, don't listen to them because it might have worked for them, but it will not work for you for sure. So it's you that you have to decide how much time it takes for you. It probably until you get a job or until you feel perfect. So, and then there's no perfect time for sure.
Exactly. I just want to add to that because I feel like it's a mental game again. And many of us think if I'm not going to land a job in like 3 months or 6 months, that means I will never land a job. No, that's not true because there are people who are literally seeking for a job for a year. I know there are so many, even for more than a year. And you know why? Some of them just do not have a STEM background. Some of them just do not, just for instance, me, I did not study any STEM. My background is business and I had to learn this on my own free time. However, like I wanted to through hackathons, through Kaggle competitions, through just like speaking with other people. And at the end of the day, I'm like, this is a lot. And that's why having a community, having like people around you is so important, because that's where you get all the information, all the tips, all the resources, all the job opportunities. So make sure to find a great community. If you like ours, feel free to join, because we're going to have more people like these amazing mentors, and hopefully we're going to have more things with them as well. Wink, wink, guys. Awesome. Let's see. So we are officially at like 90-minute mark. How about shall we take maybe two more or a few more and then wrap it up? What do you guys think?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Oh, already registered with the workshop. Guys, I will send the email again with all the resources at the end. So 2 emails, one for people who registered for the workshop, and the second with all the resources that we promised. So don't worry, I'm not going to disappear. We're not going to disappear. We're all here.
Yes, you have our LinkedIn IDs. So
Yes, LinkedIn.
Yep, you know where to find us.
So question for Dawn. Let's see.
Yes, I have seen that question multiple times.
How do I transition from senior data analyst to product data science? I don't work. Okay. Yeah. So I when I transitioned from business analyst / business intelligence engineer to product data science, I switched companies, right? So I applied to a whole bunch of jobs, got a lot of referrals, and then did the interviews. I think maybe your question is more like how to prep for those interviews, right? So the way I think about product data science from an analyst roles, the things that are hardest are statistics and experimentation and product sense, right? You probably have your SQL down at this point, so you don't really have to worry about that as much. For the product data science roles, I recommend that if you access to a product manager, which it sounds like probably not since you're not in a product company, I would recommend reading up books on product manager interviews, just so you can understand what is most important for a product manager and how do you collaborate with them. I will also look at as much as you can around like product data science interviews. Like Emma Ding has a lot of stuff on YouTube. I have my interview guide. I would just like keep studying and use ChatGPT to help you. So some of the prompts I would ask would be like, what metrics are most important to this company? Let's say I launch a feature. How would I want to test this? How would I opportunity size? And just use ChatGPT to like go back and forth with you about those questions. And of course, if you can get a mentor who can help guide you in terms of resources, preparation, mock interviews, etc. For the statistics side of things and experimentation, again, I would like read wherever you can, right? So or pick whatever you think is your best way of learning. If it's YouTube videos, go to YouTube. If it's a book, go get a book. In the roadmap that we're going to share after this, there are a lot of resources in there, so you can go in there and find exactly like what book to read or where you find YouTube videos. Again, ChatGPT is your best friend, right? So I will ask questions like, I'm thinking about building a linear regression model. Give me some examples where Instagram would need a linear regression model. And then just go back and forth with them, try to understand like why a company would use linear, whatever technique you're looking at, and like what are some real world applications of those concepts. I hope that helps. There's a lot more in the interview guide, and if you have more questions, please just send me a message on LinkedIn.
Love this. One thing I want to add, like when we are living in the age of ChatGPT, I think it's a sin for you not to use it. Like you gotta really use that thing for your interview prep. It's a lot of great advice. Let's see. Which one do you guys want to pick as one of our last questions? Yeah. Once you guys, I'll go ahead, mentors, check out the questions. But meanwhile, I just want to say for the people in the audience, please share in the chat, what was your biggest learning from today? What did you remember? What like you thought was like, oh, this is interesting. This is new. I never heard. Like, please share your learnings, because this is going to cement it in your head and it will help others to learn too. This is all about social learning at the end of the day. So feel free to share in the chat. And do you guys have a favorite question so far?
Our real quick answer, do referrals help? Yes, 100% they do. I don't think it needs to be elaborated beyond that. that certainly gets your application reviewed by a real person very quickly. So definitely try and get as many referrals as you can.
And ask them if they can go an extra mile and then connect with the hiring manager.
Sai always does the most. So yeah, listen to Sai for advice.
Maybe like a general question, like is there's some questions around, is the field getting saturated? What do you think about the market right now?
Okay, that's a great last
yeah.
question. Yeah.
Yeah. So currently, I mean, based on like multiple content creators who have sort of analyzed surveys that companies are putting out, it seems like they are looking to hire more and more roles. Will they be data science roles or termed data science roles? Probably not, because most of these roles are branching out, like just like data analyst is branching out to product analyst, growth analyst, supply chain analyst, and similarly product data science is branching out, data science is branching out. So all these roles are going to be branching out. I don't think there's going to be a reduction in the roles. Broadly, if you have those skill sets of machine learning, data science knowledge, a bit of coding skills, SQL, ability to essentially handle data and derive insights, you will have a market in the future, is what I feel.
And for the last question, I think since all of us create content on LinkedIn, let's end with a funny note. Why is the first LinkedIn post always awkward? I'm very hesitant to start, afraid I'll embarrass myself. I think all of us have been there. Your first post will be bad and then you will get embarrassed. You might get embarrassed, but then it's a learning. We all have been there. We have learned, and then with time you'll get there. Just tap on the post button, share your ideas, share your projects, share your knowledge, and then engage with other creators or like fellow people who are trying to create content. And then that's how you meet new people, make connections in the comment section first and then move into their DMs. That's how I do it. Instead of getting into the DMs first, engage with their content, make the relation in comment section, get into their DMs, they'll reply for sure. Trust me, this one works.
Yes. Yeah, I would just want to add to that, because all of us are LinkedIn creators, and whenever somebody consistently comments on my post, for instance, I'm like, okay, I'll remember this person because you always like, or she always comments, and I'm like, okay, I want to get to know you. What do you like about this content? So I like this idea of first commenting, engaging, and then finding relevant things that you have in common and creating that first connection. But also embrace the cringiness. Like, that's the whole thing about social media.
Yeah.
Embrace the awkwardness, embarrassment. This is going to be part of your life. So it's okay. It's totally okay. Just try, and don't be afraid to fail publicly. So it's all about learning and failing anyways. So
Either you'll get used to it or either you learn from it and then you will not do it.
Yeah, I think one thing I had to do was ask myself, why am I so uncomfortable posting before making my first post? And I think it's different for everyone. For me, I was like worried of people saying like, who does she think she is? Like, she's not even, that smart, or whatever crazy thought I had in my head. And then I just reflected on them, was like, are these people I care about? Are these people I want in my lives? Probably not. They can unfollow me. It's good for both of us. So maybe think about what is holding you back, and then like work through those feelings.
Yeah, I think it's just like starting out anything, like going to the gym for the first time or anything else. Like the first thing to do is like there's a saying, like if you want to go far, go slow and go with people. So just start commenting on posts, get to know a few other content creators, and once you get into that group, it won't seem as awkward. You'll get a lot of feedback from them. Like my creator journey has been like very on and off. I had created for about like 3 years now, but 2 years I was just posting whatever I felt was interesting to me. It's very recently that I met all these guys, and yes, I met them through the comment section. I slid into their DMs, stuff like that. So yeah. So just once you have that community, it becomes natural, because it feels like everybody around you is doing the same thing. So build that community, it'll become less cringy essentially.
Yes, a few months back, none of us knew each other, and then here we are making a webinar together, and then we talk regularly right now, and then so with time everything will change.
yes, stay open. And let's end with this one, guys. I think it's very important to give hope for the people about the market condition. What do you guys think?
Who wanna go first?
Yep. I think, like I mentioned, as long as you are able to use data to provide, to improve business, you will have a job in the future. There is no way that any automation or any chat GPT is going to take that away fully, because at the end of the day, requirements need to be clear, systems need to be perfectly aligned. At some way, shape, or form, you need a human to interpret, or be sort of the interpreter for business to technical, from technical back to business, things like that. So as long as you're able to leverage data to drive business forward, you're going to have a role. It may not be called data scientist. It's going to explode into a bunch of different roles, but you're going to have a job.
Yes.
Love this.
Keep applying, keep trying, and then keep networking, and then stay motivated. It's just a matter of time. Like, don't worry. I mean, with time, everything will be fine. So just don't give up and never give up. As simple as
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. And the best way not to give up is to have a great support system. And that's why we're here. Join our community on Discord, and please support each other on your job search, because that's how we can persevere and survive this together, and celebrate, hopefully.
Yes, and on that note, also, like,
ahead.
if you can post about this event, you felt, or like what you learned from this, and if you have any feedback for us, tag us, let us know your feedback, and then how we can improve, or like how it has helped you, or how it will help you, and we would love to hear from you.
So, oh my gosh, this is such a good idea that Sai came up with, guys. Like, this is what you should do: create a post with top 3 learnings, tag each of us, and tag Break Into Data. And this is how you can break through your first cringy post, because we're going to support you. We're going to react. We're going to comment. We're going to be like, yes, let's go. Let's go. So go ahead. And I see 179 of you right now listening to us. Go ahead and write a post after this, and just like make sure to tag us all, and we're going to help you get that first engagement. So yes, looking forward to your post, guys.
Yes, we'll make sure that we'll engage with your post, and then we'll implement those learnings in the next session for sure.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you everyone for attending. I know this 90 minutes of your time, you could be doing other things, and you chose to be here, and we really, really appreciate that.
We do. We really do. We love you guys. Awesome. Well, I had a great time. Sai, Karun, Don, thank you so much for doing this together. I had an amazing time, and hopefully we're going to spread more knowledge, more resources in these coming days again. So
I think
yeah.
take a screenshot, Mary.
What screenshot? Oh, I take a screenshot. Okay. Let's take it for memories. We're gonna post
on
this.
YouTube, but yeah.
Okay, smile. Don't open your eyes, guys. Okay, 1, 2. I think Karun, you closed your eyes. Can you open your eyes again? Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. I love this.
Right. Thanks,
Thank
y'all.
you, everyone, and all the best.
All the best, guys.
You'll get that email soon.
We got this.
Yes.
All right.
Bye. everyone.